This is Cynthia Ortiz. It is September 29, 2021. These are the Charles Perry Stalker podcasts. It is Wednesday. So this is part 2 of the one that we did last time, where we went over all the history of fraud and kind of perjury in court of law that Mr. Perry has committed. One being a political vendetta that he imagined. The other is a romance between me and him that he's imagined. So remember, we have a witness that said he has, as long as I've known Charles Perry, he puts cameras in women's homes. He trolls them. He travels without Jackie and his wife. And he puts cameras in women's homes and broadcasts them on the dark web without them knowing. They didn't give consent, and they're not being compensated. There's no contract for that. They're not being paid. So he's raking it in and starving them. So he's been in some trouble for some time now for human rights violations, the torture, the torment, and starvation of women and children. Exploitation, sexual exploitation as well. When a woman has a child in the home, that would also constitute some child pornography. So he's broadcasting this all over the net, all over the world, and he wants nobody to know. Well, he's been investigated for a long time. We keep quoting what he just said. One was yesterday that I went over. I'm doing some stuff in my phone. He starts typing in my phone, go to the grocery. Well, our guys that are investigating him, there's 40 of them. We're talking and we're like, maybe he wants to get in your house. They're telling me, he goes, I'm not home. If I'm out, I'm not home. So they're telling me when you're not home, he's going in your house. He's having people go in your house and get your stuff, helping themselves to your shit. So we think that might be what's he want to do. What's he want to do? We know for a while that they've talked about damaging my printer so it won't work. We want to file something in court. We need to damage her printer. We need to make sure she has no money so she can't fight us. So I've not told, they don't tell me everything. They've not told me what exactly that's all about. They've played some recordings of Mr. Powell asking has she not been served yet? Well, served with what? What is it? And when we get recordings and you confirm the recordings, that doesn't hurt us. So, but certainly intending to impede my ability to deal with it does by breaking in my home, trying to break my printer or vandalize my property. First of all, no one has permission to be in my home but me. So there should be no other key but mine. Our witness tells us that Charles will pay the landlord or the maintenance guy a little something to let him in to put cameras in when he finds a victim. He looks for divorced women with kids. And the guy says he's a sexual sadist. He likes harassing women and making them hysterical, causing problems. And then he goes and rubs one out. And I'm quoting a witness. So he said he'll get them fired from their job. He'll hack them so he can see where they're applying for new work. And then he'll make sure they don't get any work. Then they get behind on their bills. Now they're all stressed out. Again, we're talking about intentional causing of duress to women and children. Torture, torment, starvation of women and kids. Human rights violations broadcast everywhere. He's selling watch time. He's raking it in while he's starving us. I'm a victim, so is my kid. So he says what he does is he'll then hacks them so they can't find work. They get behind on the house. They lose the house. Then he has the ex take the children away. And there is no greater injury to a woman than when you take her kids away, and to the kid. There's a thing called parent alienation syndrome, and it affects kids very bad when you start interfering and causing problems in between parent-child relationships. And Mr. Perry has no place to do that. He's really hurting a lot of families. So these guys have stepped in and said, we're putting a stop to it. So he's typing in my phone yesterday, which is an illegal contact in the state of Oklahoma, go to the grocery. Well, we're all thinking maybe he wants to get in my house. They do some checking and literally in 2 minutes come back to me and say, no, he wants your ringtone. So when you go to the grocery, he's going to have somebody there to dial your phone number to get your ringtone. And we've repeatedly said, I use a service. In fact, the service got so irritated at your phone calls trying to get my ringtone. They put it on park and now it goes right to voicemail. So, you're not going to get through to me, Mr. Perry. The reason I did that is because you keep trying to call me and I don't want to talk to you. You do spoof phone numbers just the same as you spoofed Facebook. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want any contact from you. I don't like you. Go away. Stop contacting me. You're breaking the law. Over and over, we've said the same thing. We've notified his attorneys. His attorneys are incompetent or part of a conspiracy to commit crime. But right now, the focus is on any duress caused to me at all. Hacking, peeping, unwanted contact from a stalker, that causes duress. Financial problems caused by that stalker also causes duress. And then we hear he's calling around trying to find me a job. Again, Mr. Perry's recorded by police. Those police call me. I hear some of those recordings, not all, but some. So what's the interest in my ringtone? Well, then my guys record a recording of them saying, how do we prove that's her phone? Well, why do you need to prove that's my phone? What's your interest in my phone? So you don't like getting told on and you think my phone is being used to tell on you? Is that the problem? I mean, what is your problem here? The truth is inconvenient for you? I mean, what is, you're not entitled to a cover-up or a lie. You're not. I'm sorry, but you're not. Your coercion has been duly noted for the record in our case. So we get all this. Mr. Perry, what he's done is I sued him. But I understand he's come up to Oklahoma, has a forged marriage license. Lucky Miller asked me about it. Did you sign a marriage license? No. Why the hell would I do that? So he said, okay. We didn't get long to talk. He also said, I told them they need to stay out of your wallet, that we're all tired of watching you have hardship and suffer. They want to get out of a lawsuit. They're taking your money. We all know that. We've told them to quit. Okay, thank you. So then we also had the gentleman that commented, how did they know she was in Manford? We don't stalk her. We didn't know she was out there. How did Charles and Dave and Matt Powell and Josh Burson and Joe Chadwick know she was in Manford? Because they're stalking her. They shouldn't know. They shouldn't know where she works. They shouldn't care. So what the guy said is, Charles called someone and said, can you give her a job? And the guy said, I've seen what she can do. Very impressed with her work. Yeah, we need help. We need the help. But I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to use me to stalk her. So anything she shares with me is not going to go back to you. You're not going to find out her schedule and come get her car and cause distractions by your harassing her. It's not going to happen. But all of a sudden I started getting emails from some service I didn't sign up for of job opportunities. And I'm like, I didn't sign up for this. What is this? They were trying to find me a job where they can monitor my whereabouts and they can find out who I'm talking to and they can keep a track of my schedule. And that was recorded and duly noted for the record in our court. That causes me duress. Butt out. I don't know. I don't want anything to do with Charles Perry. What our guys are talking about at this point is what is Jackie's legal liability right here, because her husband is displaying symptoms of Alzheimer's. We're having to repeat the same things over and over and over, and he's just not getting it. When you mess with me, you're under investigation. You get told on, and you get caught, and you get told on, and you get caught, and you're upsetting me. Stop contacting me. Stop peeping. Stop hacking. Stop invading my privacy. What happens when you do that? It's a simple cause and effect here. A 3-year-old could get it. When you put your hand on a stove, you're going to get burned. When you mess with me, you get caught. You get told on. You get caught. You get told on. I'm a victim of your crime. I don't like it. That's causing me duress. You're trying to coerce me into doing something I don't want to do. I don't like you. I don't feel any romantic feelings for you. I feel nothing but disgust. You disgust me. You're a job, by the way. My job was to get you elected. And that was it. You turned it into a whole nother thing. But I'll tell you what. My goal is you're in jail and you can't hurt anybody anymore. No more women and children being starved, tortured, tormented, and starved. No more. No more people dying. And no more hurt. No more hurt. No more people hurting because of you. And no one's gotten closer to that goal than we have. No one in your life has gotten closer. So we all realize that you don't like that. You and Matt don't like that. You and Dave, you don't like that. Taking my money to try to force me into a bribe. I'm going to take all her money. I'm going to put holds on her credit. I'm going to put holds on her account. I'm going to make sure she can't make money or barely enough to get by. Take her car. And then she'll call me and she'll take my bribe and do what I want. That has been duly noted for the record that your intent is to coerce. They're paying attention, very close attention to anything you do that causes me duress. Peeping, hacking, and contacting me when I've asked you to stop. When you contact me, I've asked you to stop. Listen, when you contact me and I've asked you to stop, I'm telling Mr. Perry, that is causing me duress. It's illegal. You don't get a pass. I'm sorry. Not this time. So he's been told that over and over and over and over, and he's just not getting it. It's just going right over his head. And then he gets very upset when he gets caught and told on and caught and told on by these cops. But he wants to obstruct justice. I'll tell you that. But he continues to do the same thing that has gotten those results for now 10 years. There's a very big case here. A lot of people, they want it piled on them. All the evidence we can possibly get. Yesterday was great. He types in my phone, go to the grocery, and they're immediately going, why is he want her at the grocery? What's he going to do? Everything he pushes me to do, that's the first thing they do is look into why. What's going on? What's he trying to do to her? Oh, they want your ringtone. They want your ringtone. The ringtone has been discussed and discussed and discussed and discussed. We need to find out how we can prove that's her phone. Why? Why do you need to prove it's my phone? Because you don't like what's being said and you want to see if my phone is being used to say it? These are just facts. These are just evidence. These are legitimate, whether it's me or anybody else. What if I hand my phone to somebody else and say, we need to discuss this matter. Go ahead and type in whatever the hell you want to say. But it needs to be said. For my safety and my protection, we're going to establish premeditation and malicious intent. That there has been a crime planned against me, and it's going to cause me loss if it's carried out. And if they carry it out, we want to have established that he intended to hurt me. So, on this blog, what is it? You don't like the facts out, Mr. Perry? We get that. No bad guy does. But you continue to do the same thing that produces evidence that we're going to use against you in court to convict you, because we want you to stop, and you can't seem to stop on your own. And some people want police to do it for them. So, this is my shrink. Well, she said, if you don't like it, he'll do it more. He intends to hurt you. And you need to ignore him as much as you can. But the only thing with him is Charles will escalate more times than you can ignore. That's what she said. This is my shrink. She saw me for a year and a half. Twice a month, except for a few months, once here and there. It was once when our schedules wouldn't match up. And she said, he intended to harm you. He wants attention. So he's acting like our patients that have mental disabilities, a young child, and causing a problem that forces you to have to pay attention because he can't get it any other way. I don't like him. I moved twice to get away from him. I've sued to try to get a protective order 11 times, and he keeps holding all these ex parte hearings. The first hearing I was in, and that judge denied his motion to dismiss on jurisdiction. And then, after that, all subsequent hearings were ex parte. I'm not allowed in. And that's not a fair hearing if both parties aren't able to participate. It's as illegal as it gets. So, we also have Pinto. Okay, so Pinto is asking me if I want... This was during court proceedings. He's trying to get me to drop the lawsuit. This was in March of 2017. We're in the middle of the lawsuit. What, the first one? There's 3. There's one filed in... I'll try to get to those later. Anyways, there's... He's trying to get me to drop the lawsuits, take $5,000 and go sleep with him. And I'm like, ew, no. I mean, when he first approaches me, he asked me, he said, your husband sent me in. And I'm like, I don't have a husband. No, you do. Your husband sent me in. I go, sir, I think you have the wrong person. I don't have a husband. Well, then Lucky's asking me about a forged marriage license. And then later we hear Charles Perry's been living in a make-believe world for 6 years. He's gone up to Oklahoma. He's in Oklahoma more than he's in Lubbock, where he lives. And he's telling people they're married. And everybody 6 years later are going, well, we're a little confused. He's hanging out with our friends and family. He's been seen. We're a little confused because 6 years later, he's always alone. He's never with her. She's suing him, trying to get protective orders. So I don't think there's anything here. I think he's imagining something that's just not real. There's no real date. There's nothing. She wants him gone. And he keeps hanging out with her friends and family. And the guy responded. He goes, if that's all you have to do to be married these days, I'm married to Jennifer Aniston. Shit, I watch her on TV. I can just go around telling people we're married. I'll sign her name to something. So I've told his attorney, if your client forged my name on a marriage license and filed it, I want a divorce and half of everything he owns, and I want it now. Don't fuck around with this. Quit fucking around with it. I keep hearing Mr. Perry goes, no, I'm not giving her a divorce. Dude, we're not married. This is marriage fraud. I didn't agree to that. You have to have a consenting adult agree to that. And I didn't. You signed my name for me illegally against my will. That is marriage fraud. We don't have a marriage. You have delusion. You have a make-believe world. You're stupid. I don't like you. I have no romantic feelings for you. You're stalking me. And I've asked you to stop. It is illegal in all 50 states to stalk, hack, and peep. For you, it's federal. You've been told to cut it out. You've been told you're going to end up in jail. So stop. So we've got, that's contact number one. We've got now this setup where we're showing, okay, this guy's gone into court and said, I'm not making contact with Cynthia in the forum state of Oklahoma. Judge, you don't have jurisdiction. Well, but I wasn't there to show that Pinto thing. And then we've got these texts from this guy who, looking for it. Well, I don't know. Maybe they're here. Here we go. This, he said something weird to me at work. He came in and told me he worked. Some of these guys just flat out say it. I work for Charles Perry. And I'm like, oh my God. Dave Robertson was one of those. This was another one. Pinto was another one. Pinto was a little bit, you can hear on I recorded Pinto. Once he's arguing with me for about 15 minutes about being Charles Perry's wife. And I'm like, no, I could have walked off. I could have had him thrown out. I didn't. I turned my recorder on and he's asking if I'm wearing a wire. You could ruin him politically. And I'm like, yeah, I don't care about that. I just want him to leave me the hell alone. Really, that's all I want. So this guy said something weird about killing me. So I'm telling him, what you said last night is going to bring suspicion, just like Gary Condit and Chandra Levy. That's why I went public, because for 4 years I kept my mouth shut about all the stalking. Moved twice and then said something. Does that sound like a political vendetta to you? Yeah. Nope, there's not one. I haven't even voted since 2012. So he's like, well, maybe it's worth the risk. He also says something about, I signed an NDA and I've been watching this behind the scenes. See? I don't know this guy. Talk about creepy. I don't think your lawsuit's feasible. He's trying to discourage me. Wants me to drop it. Yeah. Okay. That he thinks I'm not a risk. Okay. Well, then why are you here? You're making an unwanted contact with me in the forum state of Oklahoma. Then he says he's never going to be charged in Oklahoma. Okay, well, it won't matter. And I told him, I think I said that to him. I think I said, yep, but he's got another investigation going from somewhere else. Human rights violations, torture, torment, and starvation of women and children that he's broadcasting all over the net, all over the world. It started before I ever got to Oklahoma. So that's unfortunate, Oklahoma. It sees it that way. I don't think Lucky did. Then he says, he signed a letter of discretion, or I guess an NDA. So he's not able to talk. But you are talking. That's what's funny. So that's what this guy, this is a contact in the forum state where he's clearly speaking on behalf of Mr. Perry. This is just bizarre. Hang on. Okay, so we have that one. That's, in other words, Mr. Perry committed fraud in court, perjury. The first one he committed was when he went into court and had me false arrested within a week of filing a police report, which he knew you have to do in the state of Oklahoma, because my first protective order was denied because I didn't have one. So that was all covered in the first podcast. And he claimed there was a political vendetta. There's no evidence of that. There's a whole lot of evidence that I'm pissed off that he's stalking me. And that goes back to 2011 and again reviewed in the first podcast. Second of all, he failed to disclose to the court that he was obstructing justice. He destroyed my evidence. I was getting poisoned. He destroyed all that. I couldn't get my blood tested. Mr. Powell did not preserve the evidence as he's required to by law. So I was never tested for poisoning. There was an admission of poisoning in text from Mr. Robertson. Are you giving me arsenic and phenobarbital? He replied, yes. I was getting sick. I'd bought Whole Foods charcoal so that I could go to work and not die. It was awful. There's nothing like going to work, and you got people all over you trying to kill you. And here they are trying to find me a job again. We'll find her a job where we want her. So that's duly noted for the record. And that did cause me duress, by the way. So did your hacking last night, trying to get my ringtone. That caused me duress too. I don't like being hacked. I said, get out of my phone. I don't like being watched in the privacy of my home. I said, stop. I've asked for compensation. I said, first of all, cease and desist. Second of all, you're going to pay me $1,000 a day for every day you've watched me in the privacy of my home without my consent, against my will. And added $2,000 a day for doing it without my consent. So, pay, that's a legal debt. If you don't want to do it outside of court, I'm happy to take you to court to get it. You're probably going to be arrested before that happens. So, everybody's sick and tired of watching what you're putting me through. So we don't really have a hard time getting information as to what you just said. Like, the reason he wants you at the grocery store, Cynthia, is he wants to get your ringtone. It's actually not what we thought initially. It's not that he wants to get in your house. It's that he wants your ringtone. He's obsessed with your ringtone. That conversation's been recorded and recorded and recorded and recorded. There's like 30 of them. What's the other one that has like 50 conversations recorded that our guys got, having not hard time at all, because everyone's sick and tired of watching Mr. Perry put me through hell. It's not normal to hurt people. So, if you saw the world blow up over Derek Chauvin sitting on someone's neck and killing them, and everybody got outraged about it, what do you think? Did you think they would be okay with you doing it? Yeah, they're not. They're not okay with you doing it. We get that you like delusion. You love delusion. You love your make-believe world. But the thing is outside your make-believe world, it's a whole different perspective of you. They don't like it, what you're putting me through. They don't like the watching, you're tormenting and torturing me, watching me in the privacy of my home. I feel raped. I feel raped. You don't get to censor me saying that. There's nothing illegal about it. You don't like the truth. It's inconvenient for you. We get that. No bad guy does like getting caught. But you've not been caught as much as you've been caught since you come at me. Not in your life. Ever. Hacking. These are serious invasions of privacy. It does cause me duress. It is going to be dealt with in our courtroom. When they get what you just said, ringtone, 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 ringtone. And the second one that has a lot of conversations is about my car. What's her mileage? Where's her title? Where's her car registration? I thought I told you to put the car registration in the... I thought I told you to tell her to put the car registration in her glove compartment. And the person said, I did. That's why she didn't do it. You think she doesn't know I work for you? You're off your nut. She does know. If you want her to do something, she's not going to do it. Because she knows you're going to hurt her. It's nefarious. Your intentions are to hurt her. And yes, all that causes me duress. Mr. Perry has a problem where he gets off on hurting people, and he thinks that's a date. That's a crime, actually. It's not a date. Okay, so we have all this here. We went over the Justice Scalia thing. Now, what I wanted to finish up was Officer Nealey's case, because Lucky and Mike were trying to help me. And I filed a police report again. They vandalized my car. Always going at my car. Always going at my car. If I can take her car, if I can take all her money, she'll call me. And then I'll tell her she has to do what I say, and she'll take my bribe and lie. He wants to buy a lie from me, and I've said no, repeatedly. What I have done is say, he's threatening my car, he's threatening my income, he's threatening my finances, he's threatening everything I have, thinking he can make me go broke, and then I will lie. And I have said no. He asks me every day, what's your price? He'll type that in my phone, just like he typed in, go to the grocery store. These guys see him type in, go to the grocery store, and they start checking to find out, why does he want you at the grocery store? They see that too. My price is no. That's my price. You owe me money for broadcasting me on the dark web and starving me to death. You've been given a bill. We can do that out of court or in court. I don't care. It's a legal debt. You've been asked to pay it. If you filed a fraudulent marriage license, there is nothing real there. I want a divorce, and I want half of what you own. Because I signed nothing. I agreed to nothing. I feel nothing for you but disgust. There's no marriage. There never was. There will never be a marriage. There will never even be a date. I will not even take your phone calls. I don't want your buy-a-lie money. I don't. I want you to butt out of my life. That's what I want. If you had any manners at all, if you were a gentleman at all, you would. And you wouldn't stalk. You're not normal if you have to stalk. If you can't have a date, get a date with a woman that wants you without having to hold one at gunpoint that doesn't, you don't have power. Because power guys can get a date with a woman that wants them pretty easily. So, yeah, we hear he's been coming up here, hanging out with my friends and family and coworkers and telling everybody that we're in a romance of some sort. And I guess I heard he's changed it. It depends. It depends on what day you ask him. Sometimes it's an engagement. Sometimes it's a marriage. Or it depends on who he's talking to. Sometimes he's told people I'm his concubine, if you can even believe that. This is the 21st century. You know, we don't live in the dark ages anymore. You don't do that to women now. These things are not tolerated in a civilized society right now. And the reason we are very easily getting information that you're trying to do without hard, it's not been hard at all. Because everyone's tired of watching what you're putting me through. Watching me in my house is one of that. Hacking me is the other. Jamming up my phone, that's the other. All that causes me duress. Taking my money, calling my parents, telling them no, don't give me my inheritance money. Calling people, telling them don't hire her. All of that causes me duress. It's been duly noted for the record in our case. So we've just shown 2 contacts in the state of Oklahoma. 3, I'm sorry. I didn't get into Terry Wagner's. I will in a minute. 3 points of contact in the forum state of Oklahoma that caused me duress, that are stalking. And Mr. Perry went into court and said, I'm not stalking her. So the first perjury was when he went in and alleged I want her arrested for filing a false police report in retaliation for my job as a public servant. Well, you can't say it's false or true when you obstructed justice and nothing was investigated. You didn't preserve my evidence, so foul play cannot be ruled out. I wasn't blood tested to see what was making me sick. Arsenic, phenobarbital, or something else completely. But you are giving people something to put in my drink. You had 4 guys come in. All 4 said they were from out of state. All 4, I got sick right after I took the first sip. Nobody tested me because you intentionally prevented and delayed the reporting of a crime in Oklahoma, Tulsa, where it happened, where Tulsa police should have done that. I tweeted Tulsa police. They tell me to come in and file a police report. Why wouldn't they? Why would they not say that? Why would they not want to investigate it? I didn't get a call back from a detective till I'm already in Lubbock jail because you went into court and lied. So that was the first one. The second was that it was over a political vendetta, and he doesn't have any evidence of any such thing because there was no such thing. I didn't need him. I'd been in politics all my life. If I need something, I call whoever it is I've already been working with. I don't call the new guy. The new guy, I just helped get elected. And I didn't do Texas legislation. I didn't do state. I did state briefly in New Mexico. Nothing in Texas. So what did I need you for? That you pissed me off. And then there's no emails between us, heated discussions over politics. So he didn't have any evidence. Everybody's starting now to go, okay, he's claimed that she's his wife while he went into court and claimed there was a political vendetta. And which one is true? Is there a political vendetta, or does he think they're married? Either way, there's delusion here because she didn't sign a marriage certificate. She's acting like she hates his guts. She's moved twice to get away from him. She's trying to get protective orders. And there's no evidence of any kind of political anything. So the guy's got delusion problems because there's no evidence. He keeps saying all this stuff and there's no evidence. The third perjury was the bond conditions when he said he'd leave me alone. So did he intend to... Then they planned this whole thing that while Justice Scalia is in West Texas of all places, and he dies, and he's very vocally against censorship. We got to try this new harassment law. We're going to use Cynthia as the chess case. We're going to provoke her. We're going to provoke her and harass her and threaten her car and threaten her money and call around and trying to find her a job and tell her, type things in her phone like go to the grocery so he can get a ringtone. All this weirdo shit no normal person would do. No normal person would do it. Mike said it was weirdo. Though that's motive for what you did. Vandalized my car. Okay, well, then when she talks about it, we're going to claim she's harassing us. And Miss Justice Scalia dies right then, right there, while they're planning that. So the bond conditions, Mr. Perry had to have first admitted, yes, I'm making unwanted contact with her, and I'll agree to stop. But he deceived the court. And so there you go. Then I'm supposed to testify for Officer Nealey. Oh, the third one was all the civil cases. He's gone into court and said, Judge, you don't have jurisdiction because I haven't contacted her. When there's all these texts and there's all these recordings and there's all this evidence that he has been against my will, by the way. So in the creepiest way, you know how creepy it is when someone starts typing in your phone? God, that's so creepy. And knowing somebody's watching you in the privacy of your house, you feel raped. You feel raped. It's not love, it's rape. It's an attack. It's illegal. It's a crime. It's awful. It's awful. It's hideous. And it backs up what the witness told my guys. So, who told me the reason he wants you at the grocery store is he wants your ringtone. 50 fucking recordings that we have over him trying to get to your car. 30 over this fucking ringtone. My guy tells me. That's how many we got on these two subjects. It's irritating the judge. Why are we having the same conversations over and over and over and over? Because the judge has got to give investigatory orders, right? Expand them or whatever, or extend them or whatever, right? Aren't you about civil rights? Don't you have to have something like that? Well, the judge is like, why are we having the same conversations again and again and again? Do they not know they're already caught on that? You know, stupid. I don't have any. Okay, so here's Officer Nealey's thing. Which I've already been through this, but I'm going to go through it again real quick. So I wrote a letter to the Florida State's attorney. I've written a bunch of them. This guy, there's no way he could have done what he's accused of doing. That's dated March 2nd. I've circled it. He couldn't pull off a beatdown when he's found unconscious and drugged, could he? You can't beat someone. He's accused of beating Chief Miller to death. And immediately we were like, nope, there's no way. I don't know Mike, and I didn't know Lucky either. I talked to them briefly for about the same period of time. I think I talked to Lucky about 10 minutes when he came into my work, and I talked to Mike and Brett Gibson maybe 30 minutes when they took my police report on vandalism 6 days before this murder. Look at the timing of these two things. You've got a dead chief of police who was beaten to death. You've got his detective who's found unconscious and drugged and treated with Narcan 6 days after I filed a police report. You've got my case that I filed in Tulsa where I'm complaining of being drugged and harassed at work. And let's see, I filed it on the 21st. So 21st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. 8 days later, I'm arrested. That's two obstruction of justice right there. Then, while I'm in jail under false arrest and not been tested to rule out foul play, and no evidence is being preserved as is required by law. That's what I told the Florida State's attorney. Maryland, Brady versus Maryland. Everybody knows that. Brady rules. Justice Scalia dies right then, right there. West Texas, not D.C., right when they're planning a second false arrest for harassment. When she tells on me, I'm going to harass the hell out of her. When she tells on me, I'm going to claim she's harassing me. And we're going to use it we're going to perpetrate a fraud upon the highest court of the land and claim that I'm the victim of a crime because she's telling on me. I have no business being in Oklahoma. I have no business knowing anything she's doing. I have no business butting into anything at all. And it's going to piss her off, and I know that. So when she gets pissed off and complains about it, as all stalking victims do, I'm going to claim I'm the victim. She hurt my feelings. She doesn't want to be in a weird little sex pervert situation with me. Boo. Poor me. I'm a victim. Nope. Actually, you're not. You're the aggressor. So, just by the way, Mr. Perry, we heard my guys call me and they go, guess what? Those people in Lubbock are starting to get aggravated at Charles. One of them tells us, I'm sick and tired of Charles Perry's woe is me bullshit. Everybody knows he's the aggressor. She's the victim. Everyone knows that. They're sick and tired of his whining. They're tired of him, what he's doing to you. So even in your own town, see, here's the thing. When you've posed a threat to other people, normal people are going to be kind of afraid of you, and they're not going to say what they really think to your face, but they'll say it all day long behind your back. The perception of you is not good. Everyone's sick and tired of what you're putting me through. That's why it's not been hard to get information that we can use to incriminate you in our case. It's not been hard at all. Pinto comes up to me. Mickey James comes up to me. Terry Wagner comes up to me. And if you think I didn't know they work for you, two of them just flat told me. I didn't say, I'm going to make the bouncer throw your ass out. What did I say? I turn on my recorder and I start getting them talking. I'm going to get my fucking evidence. Same thing with Mickey, except I got Mickey texting me. Same thing with Dave. I could have done the same thing with Dave. Throw his ass out. In fact, I remember telling Mr. Chadwick. Chadwick said, do you want me to throw him out? And I said, no. Let's not give him that satisfaction. I have work to do here. I'm going to get evidence against these people. That's my job. I'm going to do it. See, you don't know how this all works. All you know is nobody knew what you were doing until you started fucking with me. And now you went after a cop. We're pissed about it. We're very pissed about it. This causes me duress, too. This man is sitting in jail for something you did. That causes me duress. My guys know it. I told the Florida State's attorney 2 months before anyone said it. He was drugged. He was drugged. He was drugged. He was drugged. He didn't do it. He didn't do it. He didn't do it. Not possible. That got ignored. I'm supposed to testify. You guys wouldn't let me testify. That implicates you. If you didn't do it, what do you care? Do you understand? Perjury is concealment of a material fact that can change the outcome. As much as going into court and just bold-faced lying. I've studied it. I've read it. I've looked into it. There's a prosecutor helping me, not in giving me legal advice, but he can tell me, yes, you're right, or no, you're not. Read it again. Study this, study that, study perjury. I want you to study obstruction. I want you to get to know this case and that case. Or I'm going to charge these guys with, at the very least, what I can charge them with, harassment of my witness in my case. And the act is voyeurism or hacking or conversion with intent to coerce you. Converting money that was intended for you and it gets spent somewhere else. Or grand larceny. I mean, he's got a list. He's got a long list. You keep asking who's telling. And who are they telling? But you're not getting it. It's like asking, where's my horse? I've lost my horse. This is what my guy says. It's like Charles continuing to go at you and go at you and go at you and go at you. It's like, first of all, it's dumb. He knows we're there. It's like robbing a donut shop full of cops. And then complaining that he got caught. Oh, well, poor you. Then the second thing is like going around asking, where's my dead horse? Where's my dead horse? Where I want information. Where's my dead horse? Where's my horse? Where's my, not dead. I'm sorry. Where's my horse? Where's my horse? Where's my horse? And then when you say, I can't tell you where your horse is. Oh, I don't have a horse. There's no horse. It makes that much sense. We're like, nothing he says makes sense. He tries to talk to me and I'm like, I don't care what you have to say. You know what I care? And you weren't asked. You were never asked, what do you think or what do you want? Or what is it you have to say about this or that? What you were asked to do is don't contact me anymore. Stop. I care about what Mike Nealey feels right now and Lisa Nealey and John Nealey and the Millers and every woman you rape in the privacy of their home. Every woman you starve, torture, and torment. Why don't you care about what I think? I don't like you. Get away from me. See, you keep wanting to type in my phone what you think. I don't want to hear it. Go to the grocery. That is immediately that flags us off. What's he going to do? What harm is it going to be this time? He's got something up his sleeve or he wouldn't push me that way. He wants me to work at this place. He kept typing in my phone, going to nursing school. No. First of all, you weren't asked. You were not asked. It's not your business. And what do you care? What nefarious thing do you have in that? Why would you want me in nursing school? You know, come on with this. Every time he pushes me in a certain direction, the first thing they do is start digging to find out why. What wicked, evil crime do you have planned if I do that? If I get coerced or coaxed into that? And for a long time, it was get her back out on that pole on a schedule. Get her back out on that pole. Make sure she can't make money any other way. That's when the phone calls to my parents first started. She's got inheritance money. Make sure they don't give it to her. We need her back out on that pole on a schedule. Can we not get her back out on that pole and on its schedule? I'm repeating recordings of you. Very easy to get because everyone's sick and tired of watching what you're putting me through. Do you not understand English? Because we've said this over and over and over. And our shrink goes, I need you to notify me every time you have to repeat yourself again. Because Mr. Perry is a gentleman who shows very, very, very bad signs of Alzheimer's. And his wife may have some criminal liability in not getting him some care. Because he's posing a danger to society. We have a whole big case to do. We don't have time to babysit that one. That's his wife's problem. That's his wife's problem. She may go to jail with him. Well, somebody needs to tell her. Somebody needs to tell her her husband thinks he's got 2 wives. Okay, so there's that. And that's my first email again in March 2020. I'm telling you, this was in January 2020. He didn't do it. He was drugged. He didn't do it. He was drugged. My guys are investigating Charles. How do you think we all found that out? Mike didn't do it. He was drugged. The timing of mine, Justice Scalia's, and Mike's, all within a week. I'm taking a Lubbock on February 11th. Justice Scalia died on February 13th. Look at the timing. Look at the places. If you're like me, I'm raised by police. I'm raised by detectives. My great-granddad was a captain of detectives of Roswell PD. My grandlaw was a cop. He was a chief. They were in startling detective, solving a murder. I grew up with this. I can Sherlock that bitch. They all knew I would. Well, I'm sorry. I take that back. Charles, Dave, those guys didn't put it together that I'm going to Sherlock it. If they killed somebody, I'm going to find out. You got a police investigation, and you're dealing with somebody raised in law enforcement. And you don't know what my position or what role I'm playing in this human rights violations, torture, torment, and starvation of women and children. But right now, you cause me any duress at all, you're going to have to deal with that in that courtroom. Doesn't matter what lie you perpetrate in every other courtroom. You're going to have to deal with it. Oh, that's one thing. Our guy says I can charge him with harassment of my witness, both her and Mike. Fraud in that courtroom. Fraud after fraud after fraud. Okay, good. So we got some hope there. Okay, so this goes way back, January 16, 2020. Mr. Perry, all forms of all contact give me duress, and I don't like it. Mr. Perry, you were asked to stop. If we have to repeat ourselves, that's going on our record, as you might have Alzheimer's and your wife might have some criminal liability for not taking care of business with her own family. Don't contact me. I really don't like it. When I say that, that means he's doing something to contact me, against my will that I can't, my computer and stuff is over on the other side. Okay, so these are all my 2020. I'm saying, how many say he didn't do it, he was drugged. He didn't do it, he was drugged. Mr. Nealey. Okay, so what is this? This is a deposition talking about, he's moaning. He's found moaning. He's incoherent. This is another one. Same thing. Incoherent. This is another one. What is this one? Maybe nothing. I think there was one about the room not being a disarray. That might be what this is all about. Oh, his eye. Lucky Miller's eye was bruised and red and swollen. So keep all this in mind. These are the dockets with my motion to intervene, I believe. Yeah, right here. 2 of them, not 1 hearing. Should have been a hearing. There should have been a hearing to see if I had standing to file a third-party motion to intervene. Because when I'm deposed as a witness, but not allowed to testify. So the trial starts, and I'm going, shit, I'm not allowed to testify. Meantime, Charles is taking every penny I have. Believe me, they went at me harder when I'm put on the witness list. My life got hell. My life got awful. I went a week with no electricity because they interfered with my money that bad. And I've got a shit ton of money my parents have. They should have given me in 2007. I know I have that money. I know if they've been calling them, telling them don't give it to her. And I have no lights on. What the hell is that? We have all had money lost from COVID. I worked in a strip club. All strip clubs lost money from COVID. But they made it even much worse than that. Much worse than that. So Oh, I'm going with no electricity, but I'm not going to take his bribe and lie. I'm getting threats to my car all the time, but I'm not going to take his bribe and lie. And they're trying to make it where I can't testify for Mike, which you would only do if you're the murderer. Otherwise, what do you care? And so I file motions to intervene. And I mean, no fucking food. But by God, I'm going to use the $10 I've got to send this to the court in Florida for Officer Nealey. And I'm telling Lynn and Kathy, look, I've never even asked for this money before. I know you've got it. All of our family told me you have it. Granny told me. All of our family said your parents are going to keep it. That's how they are. They shouldn't, but they will. Well, I know about the money. I understand they were more mad that I knew about the money than, the guy was like, I have a daughter. What if she needs something, I help her. Why would you not help her? What the hell's wrong with you? And Lynn was all upset that she knew she had money. All right. Anyway, that's a whole nother thing. So, they were impeding. This is kind of what they do. That's their habit. So I filed motions to intervene, and like, here's my $10. I can buy some food, or I can help him. And right now I'm gonna help him because that's more important. And the only time I even asked for money, that money from Lynn and Kathy. Actually, I went through divorce in Lubbock. And again, my electricity, I'm all of a sudden a single mom. I don't have my ex-husband's income. And I tell my mom, can I borrow some money to pay my electric bill? I get paid Friday, but it's going to get cut off today if I don't pay it. And today's like Wednesday. And she goes, yeah, I'll pay it, but you better pay me back on Friday. She gave me this big long lecture about I got to pay her back. Well, I did. I paid her back on Friday. Never once mentioning, I know you got my money from Granny and you kept it. I never once said a word about it until I needed it to help Mike. And they made sure I didn't get it. Mr. Perry, don't contact me. Mr. Perry, don't contact me. I don't care what you think. No one asked you. He's trying to contact me again. So I have to, sometimes stop. And again, I don't want to hear from you. I don't care. I don't care. Write it down. I don't care. Didn't care yesterday. Won't care tomorrow. Don't contact me. I said don't. Get out of my phone. Get out of my computer. Get out of my life. Don't contact me. Please stop. So imagine you're trying to do homework and you got to deal with that. Or you're trying to work and you need to pull something up on the internet and you can't. Or you need to do research for a legal brief for court with him. He did interfere with burning CDs. Yeah, and in federal court, you have to submit like Pinto's recording. I have to burn that on a CD. And he kept jamming up I have a brand new computer. Kept jamming it up. So I couldn't burn CDs for court. Get out of my phone, get out of my computer, get out of my life. I don't know. So that is irritating, and that does cause me duress, Mr. Perry, and it's duly noted for the record in our case. Okay, so I file motions to intervene. There's supposed to be preliminary hearings. Nothing. Sitting out there like a meatball. No decision made. There should have been a hearing to see, first of all, does she have standing as a third party? Because I'm going to get my testimony on there one way or the other. This guy didn't do it. He's an officer down as far as we're concerned, in need of assist. I'm there. I'm there for him. I don't know the guy. I'm just looking at the facts. They don't add up. It's just 3. Now there's 3 cases that very similar circumstances. The timing is very similar. It's very fishy, as Commander O'Ritchie said. So how many people is he going to kill before somebody finally stops him? We're stopping him. That's what this is. We're stopped now. They wanted Tulsa police to get him for what he did to me. Believe me, that was a disappointment. So somebody else is going to have to do it. We've told them since then, get him on the fraud if you can't do it on attempted murder because he destroyed my evidence, or you don't want to get him on obstruction, or you can't now because statute of limitation. You can get him on fraud. I'm showing you. Here's the fraud. There it is. Go get him. Because you have 5, we've got a lot more. Anyways, okay, so there's the motion to intervene. If you help him, I promise you're going to wish I hadn't done that. And that's not a threat. That's just like you speed a lot, you're going to get a ticket. I'm just telling you. There's somebody else working on it. I told them, yeah, if you don't do it, I'll cop you. I'm just saying. By the way, I'm not a cop, but I can't say what I am. Okay? Everyone asks me, are you a cop? Are you a cop? Are you a cop? I've said that. I'm not. I've said that. I can't say what I am. And I've said that. It's a need to know. So it's none of your business. What I am doing is repeating what you just said when you were planning a crime against me. That is something that should concern you. Right, Mr. Perry? That should concern you, that I'm repeating what you just said verbatim. when you're planning a crime. That right there ought to be a deterrent. And everybody's a little confused as to why it's not. Okay, hang on. I got to put this on pause for a minute. Okay, so we're back. All right, so now we're looking at all these. This is the testimony. These are depositions that were taken. And what they say is Mr. Nealey just didn't do it. He couldn't have done it. I mean, there's no way. So I'm telling everybody, in January 2020, Mr. Nealey was drugged. Couldn't have done it. Let me repeat that. Mr. Nealey was drugged, couldn't have done it. You can't beat someone to death if you're knocked out cold, drugged. And when he's found, that's what these depositions show, is he's found unconscious, he's incoherent, he's not breathing very well, he's about to die. And not treated for being knocked out in a fight. He was treated for being drugged. That came out in May 2020, and I had started talking about this in January. I'm notifying the Florida State's Attorney in March. I believe March 2nd was the first time I notified him and said, look, he was drugged. You didn't test him before countermeasures were given. That is a Brady violation. You don't know what he's given. You don't know what made him be knocked out. You don't know who gave it to him. You don't know where it came from. So that didn't, there's no motive. Even in trial, no motive was given. Michael Nealey, I'm watching the interview, and he's saying, there's nothing on my hands here. I don't believe you that Lucky's dead and that there was a fight because I don't have any mark on me. No, see, normally if you're all beat up because you were in a fight, you're going to ask the question, who did this to us? I don't recall the events. I don't think I did it. So who did it? Why am I beat up? Do I have injuries on me that look like I was in a fight? Right? If you don't recall anything, you're going to ask those questions. He did not ask those questions. What he said instead was, I don't have anything on me that looks like I was in a fight. So I don't believe what you're telling me is true and that Lucky's dead. I can't believe you. I'm not seeing evidence of it. I'm a police officer. I'm taught to look for evidence. Not what people say. There's going to be some kind of evidence to support the fact that I was in a fight and I'm not seeing it. That's what he said in his interview. So, who drugged him? Yeah, he didn't have any memory of the events that occurred. Well, if you're sleeping through it because you're drugged, you're not going to remember. There's nothing to remember. You weren't there for that. You're asleep. You're not in the situation because you're asleep. You're knocked out cold. So that would be why he doesn't have any memory. If you're a Scalia, you're gonna look at it and go, well, he's got not a mark on him, and he's been treated with Narcan for drug overdose, so not for being hit in a fight. So he didn't do it. Couldn't have. He's a victim of attempted murder. They tried to kill him too. We have a deceased person here who was beat to death, and this guy has nothing on him. Not a possibility that he was the guy that did it, but. I don't know, sometimes you got fifes out there or corrupt people that took some money from Mr. Perry. Let me back up a little bit on the fraud thing. Okay, so Mickey James is an unwanted contact from Mr. Perry in the forum state of Oklahoma. We call it a proxy stalker. And he's telling me there will not be any charges in Oklahoma against Mr. Perry, even though he's breaking the law and you're the victim. I'm sorry to have to tell you, there won't be charges. And I said to him, it won't matter. He can bribe every cop in Oklahoma. What we're going to do is get him anyway, and they'll have to explain why they didn't, because the crimes are in Oklahoma. So Lucky and Mike weren't going to do it like that. Lucky and Mike were going to get him. We wish that we would have gotten information to save Mike and Lucky. I had a brick thrown at me on the freeway. That was supposed to hit me in the head. It didn't. I saw Mr. Perry's guy sitting at the exit where I was going to leave, and I went out a different way, and that delayed me about 2 minutes. So what happened is the brick hits the freeway, the asphalt, and bounces up and hits the undercarriage of my vehicle and split the engine in two. It was totaled. But it could have done the same thing to my skull, and I'd be dead. Well, we didn't get anything about that either. So I would have taken a different road. I did see Mr. Perry's guy sitting at the exit, so I knew they were going to do something. I just didn't know what. He calls down the road to the guy with the brick. Here she comes. They did that frequently. But this was the only time that it was a deadly situation that I could have been killed. So we get 98% of it, but not all of it. But there's more and more. It's easier and easier the more Charles does to be, because it's pissing people off. People don't like watching one person hurt another. He's in trouble right now for human rights violations, torture, torment, and starvation of women and children. I'm one of those. My kid is too. This thing where I had no electricity when I step up to help Mike, that was not the first time that happened. That was not at all the first time that happened. Mr. Perry, like he said, we told him, get his hand out of your wallet. You want to make it where she can't make any money, so she can't sue you. We all know that. The whole town knows that. Stop doing that. If you mugged her, we'd all tackle you and get her purse back. What's the difference? That's what Lucky told me. Okay, so he didn't talk at all because he's flipping, being unconscious. What else does this guy say? His heart rate was bad. Oh, here we go. He administered Narcan. It's for treatment of opioid overdose. Checking his vitals. The room was not in disarray. So that substantiates the belief that we have that Officer Nealey was knocked out cold, and the fight was then between the offender and Lucky over Mike being drugged. So all of these are depositions where they're talking about, the first responders are talking about what they did. That's Lucky was in the corner in a very small confined space. I'll get to that in a minute. Okay, here he was, right here in this very confined space, laying face up. Okay, if you're in a fight, you're going to fall slumped up against the wall. He's laying flat on his back. Just if you walked from that, if you had your back to that wall, that back wall there, where the bed is up against, and you walk straight out and to your left, that's where the door is. So think of it, Lucky's opening the door because Hotel John comes in to find out what's the loud noise all about. Never hears a peep out of Mike. Mike is not seen to ensure he's okay at this point. The perpetrator is behind Lucky. Get rid of Hotel John. They closes the door. This was around 8 o'clock. They subdue Lucky, pull him back into that corner, and lay him face up. His head was towards that wall. All nice and neat. He was placed there. There wasn't a fight that made him fall there. He was put there by the guy that killed him. Okay, Mike was probably laying on the bed, passed out. Lucky's starting to go, what are you giving him? What'd you give him? They're fighting over it. That's the first call that Lucky answered the door. When Mike answered the door earlier, he opens the door all the way. Everybody's seen. They see Mike right by the window. They see him. He's fine. Lucky, laying on the bed by the window. They see Mike too. They're all fine. Then about an hour later, it's when they hear loud noises, and he's called up again. Lucky answers the door, but he won't answer the door. Open it wider enough to see anything but his face, because a fender was behind him with a gun to his head, most likely. As soon as he shuts the door, he's pulled back into that space and beat to death. They get Mike off the bed and throw him on top of him and leave, thinking both are dead. The roaring noise nobody can explain. That was probably one of them dying. It was probably Lucky dying, or Mike about to die, trying to breathe. That might have been what that noise was. Nobody could explain that. The room's not really in a disarray because the fight was all in this corner here. It wasn't through the room like you would see if it's drunk Mike and he's pissed. Right? Wouldn't you see everything knocked over? It's not really like that, is it? It's like, see the stuff on the floors from the first responders trying to save Mike's life. You can see the bed over by the window. That's where Lucky was seen laying first. So you don't see a room that looks like there was two men angry at each other fighting who are both occupants and registered guests of the room. And Lucky didn't need to conceal Mike. He's a registered guest in the room. So who is he concealing in that room? Yeah, see, don't ask me if I'm a cop and then expect me not to Sherlock that bitch. This is the arrest report. Okay, so the guy says at the last one here, that the only thing he saw was a busted lip. He had a busted lip from Hotel John pulling him off Lucky after the whole thing's over. Threw him face first into the floor. and a swollen red right hand. Well, he had an IV in it. He had a needle in it. Might that be why it's swollen? Detective Fife? I don't know. Probably. So you can read that last one right here. He was taken to Sacred Heart Hospital. And then I arrived at Sacred Heart Hospital to speak to him. He was not really able to provide any information. He doesn't remember anything. Tell me what happened. The injuries that I saw on suspect Nealey were his nose and lips, which were caused by him being pulled off of the victim, Lucky Miller. I also saw his right hand to be swollen and red. Who can beat a guy to death with one hand? Anybody know anybody that can beat a guy to death with one hand? The injuries were internal decapitation, blunt force trauma to the head, and a bruised, swollen eye. Anybody can do that with a one hand? You know anybody that can do that? And he ends up knocked out cold, found unconscious. See, that's bullshit. That's okay. Here's me on the witness list. See, I'm right here. I'm being deposed. I'm a witness. Then Charles sends me the subpoena, which you're not supposed to do. That's witness tampering. Asking me, how did I know Mike had to be coaxed into going? Like he was trying to coax me to the grocery store yesterday, or coaxing me to a poll, or I'm getting all these job offers that I didn't ask for. Because he wants me to work at a certain place where he can know my whereabouts, and he can be on top of my schedule and know who I'm talking to and what I'm saying. Yeah, stalker. Mr. Perry, your attention isn't wanted. Stalking is a crime in all 50 states. For you, it's federal. You're caught. When you bother me, that's what happens. It's simple cause and effect, Mr. Perry. A 6-year-old understand cause and effect. You put your hand on a hot stove, you're going to get burned. It's called cause and effect. When you contact me, when you bother me, when you cause drama, when you cause hardship and duress, you piss everybody off, my guys go at you harder, and we get more information on your crime. More than ever in your life, it's uncovered, discovered, whatever word you want to use. We appreciate the fact that you don't like that. We appreciate that. No bad guy does. No bad guy likes getting caught. That's duly noted for the record in our court. Then he's asking me, who are the other victims? Because remember, Mr. Perry picks and trolls women with children and puts a camera in their house. He's wanting to know which one is talking. This contact was illegal as it gets. Illegal as it gets. That's witness tampering. There was no trial yet when he sent these. He knows I'm subpoenaed. He sends me the subpoena. He's going to witness tamper anyway. He wants to know, what is she going to say? Yep. Okay. Yep. Okay. This was Josh Burson, we believe, spoofing Lisa's account. When I confronted him, then they changed the name. We believe that was Charles. So they were both using this Facebook account to try to get information out of me. They wanted to know if Lucky came into my strip club. I wouldn't answer the question. I knew who it was. I knew it wasn't Lisa. She's asking questions she should be able to get out of her husband. But if you're the offender, you might want to know, what all does she know? Did they talk in the strip club? What did they say? Yep, didn't tell you, did I? Okay, so here's a picture of Officer Nealey in this is the News on 6 interview. Look at his hands. Look at his face. Nothing. He's got a needle in the right hand, which Detective Fife said that he saw was red and swollen. Well, you got a needle in it. Might be red and swollen, right? See? But he's basically saying, I don't know. That's what somebody looks like that was in a fight. My kid gets in a little scuffle with a kid on the strip in Vegas on his birthday. I think the kid was on drugs or something. I don't know. So he hits my son three times and busts his lip. He's got a bruise swollen. He's got a bruise right here on his cheek. See, in his eye. He's got blood all over his shirt. But yet, look at that. Nothing. Just beat a guy to death, supposedly. With one hand. Maybe. Or maybe the hand was swollen because he had a needle in it from the IV. I don't know. I believe that to be Lucky. Mr. Perry's called us. They want to get her on harassment. And again, remember, somebody else complained. How did they even know she was in Manford? They're stalking her. We're not stalking her. We had no idea that's where she was. How did Charles Perry, Matthew Powell, Josh Burston, Dave Robertson, and Joe Chadwick know, if they're not stalking her, that she was in Manford? They're calling them so much. That I got accused of having a biker boyfriend. Bikers aren't my thing. They're just not. That's not my type. I have a type. That's not it. Mr. Perry's not it either. So they're complaining about they're asking us to pull her over all the time. We don't have time for that. She's not a criminal. She keeps to herself. She minds her own business. She never calls us. We know they're doing all kinds of shit to her out here. You know who's calling us? The maid, not her. The maid's complaining of menacing traffic. The maid's complaining that they're getting people coming up here taking pictures of her. She's not calling. The maid is. She's not asking the maid to call. The maid's calling because the maid's upset about it. Laura Collins went to Lucky. Lucky came out and investigated. There was a death. He came out to investigate it, and Laura went in and goes, look, they're going to kill her. You got to do something. And Lucky said, get me tags. Well, he died before we could. He died. Y'all didn't want... He was going to get your ass, wasn't he? Yep. Okay, so there's this. My subpoenas and everything. This is... that was in Manford. We're going to have her car towed and sold before she figures out it's illegal. That was disturbing to Lucky, that she wanted to take my car. These are all the facts that I went through and sent to the Florida State's Attorney. Lisa said he wore sweats to bed. Michael. Well, he had jeans on, they said. He didn't have his sweats on. He wasn't going to bed. They had people over. He had people in that room. See, I go through the whole thing. These are all the... You have a duty to disclose material facts that could change the outcome, that are favorable to the accused. You wouldn't let me on the stand. Florida State's Attorney, I told you 2 months before that Mike was drugged. I said it 2 months before anyone else said it. You intentionally concealed it. And the facts, if not concealed, could have changed the outcome. Yep, that's called perjury and fraud. I went through all the case law here. The ABA rules. He ignored me. Okay, we'll deal with it. Mike will go home. Mr. Perry, stop contacting me. Stop contacting me. Mr. Perry, stop. Get out of my computer. Get out of my life. Stop. I'm going to say this to you one more time. No one cares what you think you weren't asked. No one cares what you think you weren't asked. What we are to note to the shrink is every time we have to repeat the same thing. Because she thinks your wife has a criminal liability for not getting your Alzheimer's treated. Because one time should be enough. One time should be enough. Okay, so what is this one? Okay, this is the Hotel John. This is his testimony. He's talking about, he's talking about all the times he went in to that room. And that the fact that, see, he's talking about the first time he went into that room. Well, this is when he found them. Here it is, right here. Mr. Nealey was walking around. Mr. Miller was laying on the bed nearest to the window. Everybody's fine. They're seen, right? That's at like 6 o'clock. Then at 8 o'clock, he's called up to the room again. Right here. You wouldn't open the door. About 6 to 8 inches. See right here where he says it? Q. Wouldn't open the door. His eyes were bloodshot. Now, when there's this testimony that he yelled, "Stop it, Mike." There's no visual context to put with that utterance. So he could have been saying, "Stop it," to the offender. Mike calling out to see if he's okay. Did that occur to anybody? Or Mike, please get up and help me. Trying to wake him up to help. He needed an assist. He's getting beat up. So just because somebody said, "Stop it, Mike," doesn't necessarily mean he's yelling that to Mike. He could have been yelling, "Stop it," to the offender. And Mike, or asking for an assist, or trying to see if he's okay. There was no visual context to put with that utterance. So that's the other thing the jury didn't hear. Mr. Mitchell should be disbarred. I mean, I've not seen. So he's asking about when everything, he wouldn't open the door very far. And then there's another complaint. The roaring sound is brought up again. came in, and he's pounding. He can't get anybody. They're already gone at this point. Okay, so that's the main part of Hotel John's I wanted to bring out. There's quite a bit here. Anybody can look at this and read it. It's all on. It's public. So between the evidence, I mean, when I'm looking at the evidence, whether I know Mike or not, what I'm seeing is this doesn't add up. And if it wasn't Charles and Dave, this happened 6 days after my vandalism report. If Charles and Dave didn't do this, why keep me off the stand? What's it to them? Why would they attack my money so fiercely and cause me such duress all the time if they didn't do it? They implicate themselves. So we'll get Mike out and we'll deal with it in our court. Our guy says I can charge him with harassment of my witness, Mike Nealey, fraud in his court, fraud in your civil cases. It's not that hard to do. The act is, the crime is harassment. The act is fraud in court. You got this man illegally detained. When you went at me, that implicated you. That's called act showing consciousness of guilt. Now, when you do things to cover up something or try to intimidate a witness or harass a witness that might implicate you or might, implicate you on the stand in another court in a murder of a cop, you begin to harass that witness. You begin to try to hurt that person financially or cause some sort of duress to coerce or whatever you try to do. Then you can't argue that you didn't know that your act was wrong. There's a thing called mens rea. And for sure in Texas, I don't know about Florida, but Texas, you had Andrea Yates that was found not guilty by reason of insanity. She didn't understand what she did was a crime. So there has to be mental illness to where there is no crime because you lack the understanding to have criminal intent. I've studied this too. I'm in college. I'm taking a lot of criminology courses. I'm trying to get a degree, bachelor's degree in criminal justice. I started out in psychology, took some criminal justice classes as electives, decided to change my major. So I'm studying this now. The whole mens rea, the whole intent thing, I did speak to that, though, in my brief when I filed my first lawsuit. Acts showing consciousness of guilt. We're speaking to the intent of the actor who caused the injury. When you harass a witness, tamper with a witness, destroy evidence, try to hide evidence, try to cover something up, try to silence a witness, try to silence a victim of crime, you are expressing an act showing consciousness of guilt. And that is mens rea. That shows intent. You know what you're doing is criminal. You know it's wrong. You're doing it anyway. You don't get to argue I'm insane, Alzheimer's or not. Okay, so now on my poisoning, we all know that Mr. Perry, Mr. Powell, Mr. Burson would have held a press conference. Had they not been poisoning me, they would have held a press conference. They would have had me tested and held a press conference and gone, see, she's lying. She says she was poisoned. We tested her. There's nothing in her blood. There's nothing in her hair. There's nothing there at all. But they knew I was poisoned, and they made me sit in jail, illegally obtained, dropped the charges later, but it made me sit there until it ran itself out of my system. I'm already taking countermeasures, and I'm taking the charcoal. Either way, I should have had a test from Tulsa police. I should have had a test from Tulsa police that would have ruled out arsenic or confirmed arsenic, and then again, ruled out whatever drug Mike was given. Before he's given Narcan, he should have been tested too. That's called preservation of the evidence. Then you run the test. Then you go, okay, well, this is what made them pass. This is what made Mike be unconscious. This is what made Cynthia feel dizzy, nauseous, have a metal taste in her mouth, and she discarded the rest of the drink, and at times I threw up. This is what that was. So what we got to do is now figure out how that got to be in her drink, who gave it to her, who had motive. This was intended to it did cause bodily injury, and it was intended to maybe kill. So those are things that any good detective will look into. They don't just go, okay, well, we'll throw this guy's ass in jail because we decided he beat somebody up with one hand. Internal decapitation, blunt force trauma to the head, and a swollen eye. Yep. And not a mark on him. The evidence tells you the story. People can add to it, or evidence needs to substantiate the witness, but witnesses are notoriously wrong. We've seen that with DNA exonerations, but what we got to do is we get the witness. When we get the information from the witness, we've got to have evidence to support it. And there just wasn't any for Mike. And he's still found guilty, and I was crushed, and we're all pissed. And everybody's pissed off at what you're putting us all through. And that's how it becomes easier and easier to get things like, oh, they want you to go to the grocery because they want your ringtone. They want to see if your phone is being used to get facts out. They don't like those facts getting out. How do we prove it's her phone? How do you prove it's my phone to do what? How do you know? Are you peeping or not? How do you know there's not someone at my house to go, here, my police friends just called me and they want this out. I'll let you type it up. Use your phone. Use my phone. I don't care. They want it out. Are you obstructing justice? Kind of seems like you're trying to. Again. That kind of is your history. Okay, hang on. I'm going to change something up here. Okay, so we got all this also. Oh, that's something else. We got something else in yesterday about, this is the etiquette about being raised in a home of power. So I remember one night, I had Jack Galloway's campaign come to me 45 days before Election Day. And that's not enough time, especially for somebody running against an incumbent with no money and no name recognition. It was a small race. It was just GOP chairman, but I still would have wanted to win, and it would have helped that he come to me earlier. But what we did, and Randy Reeves did the same thing. They both came to me 45 days from election. That's very little time to get to early voters, and they have no name recognition and very little money. We got it going against incumbents. So we combined efforts with Perry. What we do is we're going to, we went to some event. I don't even remember now what it was, but we stop at Taco something, and we're eating tacos. And I remember looking over at Mr. Perry, and that guy's eating with his mouth open. He's got food all over his face, and I'm just going, oh my God, that's awful. I handed him a napkin instead of saying to him, why must you eat like a pig? I didn't say that. I just discreetly handed him a napkin. And he made some hateful comment to me. I don't remember what it was, but I remember thinking, it's time for me to leave. I got up and left. I said, sorry, guys, I got to go. I got him left. So I think they followed me, but I think they were like, yeah, we're all done too. But I was very uncomfortable with the whole thing. When I'm a kid, my mom bought a book. She's like, we got to teach you girls how to behave in public. We're Chief Hall's granddaughters. So she bought this book, and she sits us down and teaches us all this etiquette stuff. We had to take a class on etiquette. There was a family friend also that taught us etiquette. They wanted us to behave in Roswell. We weren't allowed to eat with our mouth open, put our elbows on the table. We had to sit up straight. We had to stand up straight when we were walking. We were not allowed to say yeah. If I said yeah, my dad would jump all over my ass. Don't say yeah. You say yes, ma'am, and yes, sir. You shake people's hands. You look them in the eye. You smile. You shake their hands firmly. Don't squeeze so hard it hurts, but don't do the fish thing. It's weirdo. You be polite. You don't butt in. You don't interrupt. You go. If you're not invited, you don't go. You don't invite yourself. You have good manners. And Perry here, he's butting into everything of mine against my will, actually illegally. His is a crime. It's not just rude. It's not just bad manners. It's not just trailer park. It's and this thing, where I'm the victim. Mr. Perry, like I said, we've already heard a lot of complaints from Lubbock. I'm sick and tired of Charles Perry's woe is me bullshit. We know he's the aggressor. He's trying to entrap her. We know Charles is the aggressor. His bullshit is pissing us off. We're hearing that from people in Lubbock, sir. You're a victim. I'm a victim. You're not a victim. See, I moved. I left. I moved twice to get away from you. That should have been the end of it. Your attention isn't wanted in any form. It's not wanted. You expressed intent to harass me and then claim you're harassed. So what difference does my phone make to you? Explain that. You're going to explain it in our court. I don't know what the hell other court you've been in, but in our court, you're going to have to explain that. You're going to have to give account to your whereabouts, where you are, what you're doing, who you're with, and to prove you're doing anything but what I say in our court. We're the ones getting what you just said. He wants you to go to the grocery because they want your ringtone. But how would you know where I was if you're not watching me in the privacy of my home and you're not stalking me. You don't know who's posting what. There's more than one of us. Charles is in my stuff too. They're watching him type shit in my phone. My guys are. He has to explain that in our courtroom. Because our judge is not going to be ignorant of the facts. He's not going to be made a fool of by a criminal. Do you understand? Mr. Perry, I don't care what you think. I didn't ask you. No one asked you. No one cares what you think, what you want, or what you feel, or what you need. You never shut up about it. We all get it. You've made your point. What you were asked to do, sir, is to consider what everybody else thinks and wants and feels. What do your children feel? What does Jackie feel? Knowing you've been in Tulsa more than you were at home with them, doing things with them, committing crime against me, icking your slime all over me. Having an imaginary romance with somebody that doesn't even like you. Maybe killing a cop and a judge. And God only knows who else. See, you have to explain that in our courtroom, even if every other judge takes your money and doesn't make you explain it to them. Our judge isn't taking it. I'm not taking your money. Our 40 cops aren't taking your money. We don't want it. We want to catch the bad guy. You're that bad guy. You've bothered people. You've starved. You've hurt. You've tormented. No one has repeated what you guys have said like we have. Because you're being investigated. I knew Mike was drugged 2 months before anyone else said it. You're causing duress to me. Now, we understand that you were told a long time ago that you went into a courtroom trying to claim you were being harassed. And the judge said, you need to leave her alone for 2 weeks. Don't do anything at all. Don't call anybody at all. Don't contact her in any form at all. Don't contact me, Charles Perry. Don't contact me, Charles Perry. Over and over and over, we've said the same thing. And that goes to our shrink to support that you have Alzheimer's and that your wife might go to jail with you. Because one time is all it should take. One time, sir, is all that needs to be said. And everybody's getting very frustrated with you having to repeat the same thing and you're not getting it. Nobody cares what you think. Stop contacting me. I don't care. Respect the rights and wishes of other people. Or don't complain when you get diagnosed with antisocial disorder. Antisocial disorder is a mental disease. Refusal to respect the rights and wishes of other people. Hacking, peeping, unwanted contact, stalking is a crime. You're causing me duress. Stop. Stop all of it. I don't care what you think. I didn't ask you. You weren't asked. Get some manners. Get some manners. Do not contact me again. I don't like it. I don't like it. When you contact me, we get more. It's easier because everyone's pissed at you for doing this to me. Listen to the words. Write it down. I'm tired of repeating the same thing. We got this email from a long time ago. This is in March. There was I guess it was Kirkendall maybe? Leave her alone for 2 weeks. I've got to rule out entrapment. Because she's got an email saying that when she was in jail, every inmate in there told her. Also, while Justice Scalia died, who didn't like your censorship idea. Silencing victims who might tell on you. That's called retaliation. That's called retaliation. It's illegal. Okay, so when she complains about it, then we'll say she's harassing us. Well, she's got that email going way the hell back. And you can't say you didn't have that plan because you did do it in her civil court case. While she's not there to dispute you or show evidence contrary like that email. And by the way, we heard a guy that said a litigant is going to put that email in with her objection. They want to win the case. If she's a cop, which that may be what she is, they're going to wait and hold it out and put it in with a motion to vacate on fraud. They want to get you on fraud. They want to get you on fraud. They want to get you. You've been told that over and over. Do not go into court and lie. Do not go into court and lie. She's going to get you on fraud. Do not go into court and lie. They're going to get you on perjury. They're going to stack it up so nobody believes a word you say. Because when you go into court and lie, and lie, and lie, and lie, under oath, under penalty of perjury, you'll lie to anyone, anywhere. Don't do that. It's their strategy. You were told that. I know you were. I was told you were told that. More than once. Alzheimer's is a problem for you. One time should be enough. It's very irritating. I don't think you're getting that. You got dots that are not connecting in your head. And your wife should have done something. And she may have some problems with the law because she didn't. Our shrink wants to know every time we have to repeat the same thing over and over again. Don't contact me. Don't peep. Don't hack. Get away from me. Get away from me. I feel nothing for you but disgust. There's no hidden nothing. There's nothing. It's not, she's secretly in love and she's just too afraid to say. Nope. You're crazy. No. I'm not secretly in love with you. I'm not too afraid to say. I want you gone. You don't understand. You've blown up my life. There's nothing there. Everybody's getting pissed at you. That's why it's easier to get information that you just said. First time in your lives that has happened. You're pissing people off. Charles Perry, Matthew Powell, David Robertson, Josh Burson, and Joe Chadwick. You're repeated all the time because you're pissing people off at what you're doing to me. We're all sick of it. We are sick of you. Everyone is tired of you. Just like they got upset watching Chauvin sit on, George Floyd's neck. The world blew up. They were outraged. Did you think they wouldn't be outraged at what you're doing to me? You've tried to kill me more than once. You're trying to torture, torment, and starve women and children. It's not funny. You don't get privacy. You broadcasted that all over the internet, didn't you? So we got all that yesterday. My guy says, pull that email out from March. Put it up. So we had somebody do that. You want my ringtone to see if it's my phone? Fuck you. My guy said that's illegal, or he's not going to tell me. They want you to go to the grocery to get your ringtone. It's illegal. They peep. Otherwise, they wouldn't know when you leave your house. They're stalking you. Otherwise, they wouldn't know what grocery store you go to. So, you got somebody investigating you, Mr. Perry. Stop bothering me. I don't like you. And I don't want to hear from you. I don't care what you think. We are to let the shrink know every time we have to repeat the same thing. You're getting on everybody's nerves. I don't like you. I'm disgusted by you. I'm repulsed by you. Cyril Wecht said, even prisoners are repulsed by sex perverts, like Jeff Epstein. That is what Lucky and Mike were talking about on that video. You. They were talking about you. Because there's similarities with their case, with what the case they were about to pursue, and Jeff Epstein, weren't they? You had motive for murder. Mike did not. Now, I gave you a chance to get him out. Do the right thing. Make amends. And you might get some mercy on ours. You chose not to. So, that is duly noted for the record as well. So, again, cease and desist. And you do owe me money for selling me all over the internet. And you're raking it in while you're starving me to death. When you start ordering me to do something, Mr. Perry, my guys immediately check into why. What's his motive? What's he trying to pull? What little stunt is he going to pull now? And they're going to always act to protect me. They're going to find out why you want me to do that. The answer is probably no. If I go ahead and do it anyway, it is going to be to get evidence to convict you, and that's it. Everyone knows when they would come into my work and sting at me, she's going to lie. She might talk about the topic, but she's not going to say what you want. And if she does, you better watch out. They're going to use it against you. And that's exactly right. That is not wrong. I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm very good at it. And if I wasn't before, I am now because you've given me a lot of practice. Not making contact in the forum state of Oklahoma with Mickey James and Terry Wagner and all these people. I didn't know. I didn't come here to pick a fight with you. I came here to get away from one. You're causing duress. You're causing duress. Okay, real quick, I got to get to one more thing. Okay, so this is the vehicle. Like, vehicles would come up and take pictures. That was what Laura was calling about. That's her statement. See, I'm not delusional. I'm not the only one that saw it. Mr. Perry was trying to go, oh, there, she's just delusional. Wrong. Okay, so she's talking about a black Lexus that used to freak us all out. They put powder in my car. This was what was reported to Manfred PD. And it was all over a nearby room. Now, Mr. Robertson had his employee staying right next to me. Okay, so we all complained about that too. There's more of these texts from Nealey. Josh Burson pretending to be Nealey's wife. And I confronted on the identity theft. See, you have Ma Lang, Ethan Hutchins, and Lisa Kay. Then when I confront them, they change it. See, there's Ma Lang, Ethan Hutchins. Lissa Kane. They changed the name. See, that's identity theft. It's also fucking fucked up. So the same way he does that, trying to talk to me, he'll try to call, which is why I have a service. And there is no ringtone. But you know, you guys keep trying. I'm looking for Terry Wagner. So when Lucky's complaining about they're getting in your wallet, they send this guy in, Terry Wagner, who comes in and all of a sudden he's giving me money. And then he just stopped when I filed an appeal. I didn't hear from him again. See the dates, July 29, 2020. I think I filed an appeal about that time, or was working on it on my computer, which they can see. Oh, that might not be the right ones. Here we go. This is it. August 30th, 2019. I didn't hear from him again until July 12th, 2020. When I notified them I was going to file a motion to vacate on fraud. All of a sudden, here he comes back in. Then, trying to see here. Okay, see, one night I was trying to see if he wanted to come in. No, I don't know when I'm going to be in. My wife is dying. She's going to pass away anytime, and I'm all distressed. I can't come in. They didn't want me to have money that night. But look, on August 2nd, hello, are you working tonight? He wants to come in. Look at the night his wife dies. August 2nd. Who goes in a strip club on the night your wife dies? Then they had him give me some jewelry from this auction. And they wanted to starve me to death so I would take it to a pawn shop and they could say I was in possession of stolen jewelry. Well, he gave me the jewelry. If it's stolen, I didn't know that. He tells me it was left over from the auction. I've been in his house. There is shit strewn everywhere from auction, leftover auction. In fact, he had me taking pictures of it to try to sell on eBay, to try to clear it out. We didn't, Charles blew that up too. So this guy, we've called him the conduit of coercion. This guy worked in road construction. Mr. Robertson owns Dynamic Shot, which does bridge construction. I asked him, do you know the guy? Oh, no, never heard of him. Well, you guys have both worked in the state of Oklahoma in 40 years in the same industry, and you've never heard of him? I'm sorry, I don't believe that. I'm not a turnip truck. So this was another contact within the forum state of Oklahoma, is my point. There's contact after contact after contact. And I really am, again, going to stress one last time. Charles Perry, do not contact me anymore in any shape or form. Do not ask me who told. I will never help you. I want for you to be in prison so you can't contact me again. I don't like being peeped on. Stop doing that. I don't like being hacked. Stop doing that. I don't want to hear from you. I didn't ask you what you thought. When you contact me, when you cause a loss or a problem for me, what happens? It's duress. My guys go at you harder. You piss everybody off. Everyone's sick and tired of you raping me. Everyone's sick and tired of you sitting on me the same way Chauvin sat on George Floyd and smothering me to death. Everybody's sick of you. Mr. Perry, listen. Everybody's sick of you. Stop it. We get more, and it's easier. The more you bother me, the more you contact me, the more you ask who told, the longer you peep and hack, and the more you try to do to hurt me, and the longer Mike Nealey sits in jail. Nobody's done what we've done. When I'm quoting you verbatim what you just said, you got a problem. We're not doing this because we're bored. Now, cease and desist all forms of all contact. Cease and desist voyeurism, stalking, having me followed, harassing me, causing duress. Stay out of my wallet. Do not take any more of my money. Do not take any more of my money. Cease and desist. Interfering with income. Grand larceny with intent to coerce. Cease and desist all coercion. Cease and desist it. Stop. Do not hack me. Do not contact me. Do not voyeurate me. Get out of my life. Today. Get out. Or it will get worse for you. Is it better than it was 10 years ago when no one knew you were doing all this shit? Is it better than it was 5 years ago? Is it better for you than 3 years ago? 1 year ago? If somebody speeds more all the time, they're going to get pulled over all the time, and it's going to get worse for them. So that's not a threat, dumbass. That's common sense. Stop all contact with me. Stop all contact with me. Stop all forms of all contact with me. Stop, Mr. Perry. Control yourself. You will need an alibi. Stop obstructing justice. We want you in jail so you can't do all this stuff anymore. I'm never going to help you. Stop bullshitting yourself. Don't contact me. Stay away from me. I don't like it. I don't like you. I don't like you. There's nothing there. Stop bullshitting yourself. Stop bullshitting yourself. I don't like you. Did I say it enough times? Did you get it? The ringtone's been duly noted. 30 recordings. Taking my car, 50. Duly noted. For the record. We got mens rea. Charles, stop contacting me. Charles, stop contacting me. Did I say it enough times? The more you contact me, the more drama and problems you cause. The more loss you cause. The easier it is to get incriminating evidence against you. 30 recordings of the ringtone. 50 about my car. Duly noted for the record. You're going to need an alibi and you're not going to have one. You need to sit your wife down and have a heart-to-heart with her. Because she might end up going to jail too. Now, don't contact us again. Stop it. We're sick of it. Everyone's sick of you. No one asked you what you thought. You were asked to leave. Stop contacting me, please. Thank you.